Hello everyone, this is your host Vaibhav. I welcome all of you to today's session of Daily Stock, in which we are going to take a close look at the earnings report for the Bank of America, which recently released its first quarter 2024 earnings. And if we consider the top line as well as the bottom line, the Bank of America seems to be doing well in comparison to the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2023, but it is yet to recover to the levels of first quarter of 2023. So there is progress after the profit sank in the last quarter of last fiscal year. There is recovery to some extent, but this recovery is yet to reach to the prior heydays, and the Bank of America's earnings are still some distance away, but there has been progress. We have to acknowledge that the sentiments are not that bad as was the case in the fourth quarter, and we are likely to see more progress in the second half of this year. So we will consider its fundamentals as well as technical drivers which are underpinning the stock price performance of the Bank of America, and afterwards we will try to figure out if there are opportunities for us to trade and invest in the stock of Bank of America. This is the fourth quarter earnings report. We have the balance sheet, the income statement along with supplementary data. This is the consolidated financial highlight. If you take a look on the total revenue, net of interest expenses, the total revenues have now risen to $25.8 billion from $21.95 billion in the prior quarter. So sequentially there has been growth. But if we go back to the first quarter of fiscal year 2023, that is a year back, then in comparison to that quarter, the revenues are slightly lower. But if the revenues have recovered from around $22 billion to $25.8 billion, that means there has been a significant improvement, significant uptick, and that is something which is positive in the medium term to long term. The net income has also recovered to some extent, though the rise in net income is in a smaller proportion as compared to the rise we have seen in the net revenues, because if you compare this quarter's net income to the first quarter's 2023 income, there you will see a gap of around 20 percentage point. That's a huge difference, and that has also been reflected in the comparative stock price performance of the Bank of America, where we have seen recovery in the price from recent post, but it is yet to reach to the prior levels, and I think it is likely to take some time. Of course, a lot is going to ride on the forward guidance as well as how the financial performance is over the next few quarters. First, we are going to consider the consolidated statement of income. Here you get to have this breakdown to interest income, interest expenses, and then net interest income. There has been growth, a slight growth sequentially, but there is decline yearly. And then we also have to consider the non-interest income, because Bank of America operates in multiple verticals. It has not only interest income but income like fees and commissions, market making, and other trading activities, as well as there is small head for other income. This time around it is in loss. All these factors make it a slightly diversified financial entity, and also it makes the Bank of America more resilient to stress in any single vertical. All in all, the revenues are on the upswing. We have now this quarter where the revenues are at the highest level seen in the last 4 quarters and just slightly lower than what was the case a year back. There has been a higher provision for the credit losses that has also resulted in lower net income. We have these expenses which are slightly on the higher side this time around. You can see that there is increase in compensation and benefit, there is increase in occupancy and equipment, there is a marked increase in the information processing and communication because a lot of investment is being made in the AI enabled processes, so that is taking the expenses on the higher side. There is decline in the product delivery and transaction related expenses. The professional fees paid are slightly higher, there is not much of a difference, and the marketing expenses are more or less around the similar level but slightly lower. And then in case of other general operating expenses, there is increase of more than $500 million. So all this has impacted the net income adversely, and it has pulled the net income down to $7.2 billion. After that, we also have to provide for the taxes, and that brings the net income down to $6.67 billion. But still is a healthy number. Any company making this kind of net income is going to be a valuable entity from any perspective, and that is what is reflected in the stock price performance of the Bank of America, which of late has found some wind in the sail and is starting to fly again. How long it is going to go, that is another story, and for that we will also have to study its technical aspects, and then afterwards we can figure out the optimum entry and exit points for possible trades and investments. This is the consolidated statement of comprehensive income. We will not really go into the details of it. We are going to take a cursory look on the balance sheet, and since we don't really have a full-fledged cash flow statement, we won't be able to compare the cash flows, but as I gather, the cash flows are substantially down for the first quarter of 2024 in comparison to first quarter of 2023. So that also signifies the bank's business, the banking business and allied businesses are yet to recover to the prior highs, and we are going to see patiently how things evolve in the second half of ongoing fiscal year. Here the cash and cash equivalent chains are always important, and there seems to be slight decline in comparison to the cash and cash equivalents at the end of the year, fiscal year 2023, and there is substantial decline of around 20 percentage points in comparison to the first quarter of fiscal year 2023. So that is what I also gathered, because this time around the cash flows have been lower, and that has impacted the cash position of the Bank of America. Now we turn our gaze to the technical side of the story. On the technical front, there is this uptick in the stock price since its earnings were released, and in last few trading sessions it has gone into a consolidation phase, but really not far off from its recent swing high. And I believe that if it doesn't really decline much, the levels closer to the yesterday's low are going to be important moving forward. And if the Bank of America stock holds above or close to $36 and doesn't really decline over next few trading sessions, I think we do have a chance of seeing the Bank of America fly again, and in that eventuality, we can even expect to fly past the recent swing high of $38.5. So keeping that possibility in mind, we can continue to score for the opportunities to go long. But as I said, in that quest, it is very important to pay attention to the price action over next few trading sessions, and if there is no substantial decline and the prices hold and then starts to show the possibility of rise, only in that scenario we will be in a position with favorable odds of profiting from the possibility of Bank of America stock rising again. So in the short run, the scales are tilted towards the bull run, and with that possibility, it is better to adopt a buy on dips approach, and maybe after enough consolidation, we can indeed take our chances. If we enlarge the time frame to medium term, we have the price formation of higher highs and higher lows. So here also, the trajectory is bullish. The only thing is we are just slightly off the recent highs. That makes our job a bit difficult, because if you were to look for newer opportunities, you want to buy close to the recent swing high in the formation of a higher high and higher low. Now the recent swing high is close to $34, and if we have this correction deepening, maybe that is the price level which we will need to watch out for. So in the medium term, I feel that few more weeks are needed for the consolidation to play out and more clarity to emerge. Maybe after that we can take our chances, and we can try to profit from the possibility of Bank of America rising again and crossing above $38 in coming weeks. So that is my outlook from the medium term perspective. Now let's shift it to the longer term. There has been substantial rise since its recent swing low established around $25 level. From there on, it has rallied strongly over the last couple of months. In these 2 quarters, in the fourth quarter and the first quarter of ongoing fiscal year, the gains have been substantial for the Bank of America. Maybe it is time it will consolidate those gains, and if that happens, we are likely to see the price action simply moving in a narrow range, with the bias being on the upside. So that possibility is quite strong. The price level at the current scenario, at the current juncture, is not really favorable for a entry straight away on the long side. Neither it is the time to go short. So maybe it is the time to wait and watch. And for that, I would say that next few months are going to be crucial, and with the time we will have much more clarity on the pricing front, and then we can indeed see if there are opportunities which are favorable from every perspective. So right now is not the time to get involved in the long trade in the investment space for the Bank of America. It is time to keep the powder dry, and as and when better opportunity strikes, we can go for it. Now, that is all from my side for today's session of Daily Stock, where we considered the financial report of the Bank of America. Along with that, we also considered its stock price performance over the last few sessions, last few weeks, and last few months to figure out the opportunities on different time horizons. And all in all, the sentiments remain bullish. The net profit is on the recovery side. Its revenues is also showing recovery. Maybe it is a matter of time before it reaches back to the prior good times. So for that, maybe we need to give it more time, but eventually that is pretty much the possibility. So now it's time to say goodbye. If you have found the session useful and informative for your trading and investment purposes, do like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous time ahead. See you next time around. Till then, goodbye.